This next video is of James Alston, or Jim Alston, who was part of the Alston family. Jim's brother Philip Alston was a key player in helping save Ansley Park, and also was involved in the introduction of Colony Square as kind of a buffer, if you will, to the commercialization that was rampant during the time of the mid to late 60s and early 70s. Jim Alston was president of the Civic Association when the effort was made to develop a neighborhood plan that later became the template for all neighborhood plans in the U.S. Jim had lived in the same house after World War II with his wife. As a matter of fact, his mother found the house for him and his wife, and they lived there from 1946 until Jim passed away just a year or two ago in 2012. But I think you'll appreciate hearing Jim's own unique perspective on what Ansley Park has meant to him and how he has been involved, or was involved, in saving Ansley Park.
I was able to purchase a small house in 1945 after my war service, and Lucille and our child had been born in England, came over, and we moved in March of 1946. And we've added on to it 3 times rather than move away. So that's one way I feel about Ansley Park, having been raised here. I was one of 5 children born, and I was born in 1914 over on 236 the Prado, halfway down between the Governor's Mansion and Peachtree Circle. And I say, well, I was one of 5 children, all born there. My father had built it and moved in 1911. There was no driveway at the time, but extensive use was made of the alley in the rear. Ansley Park had many alleys and many servants' quarters on those alleys. There were 2 alleys from 17th Street, the upper alley and the lower alley. We were on the lower alley, and there was lots of land in between where we played, and people had gardens back there, and then we had a pony back there. And we rode that pony, of course, and it was for my younger brother, and he was supposed to feed and water it, but when he learned to drive a car, I had to do the feeding and watering. But one of the places we rode was over on the polo field, where the Botanical Gardens now is, called the Governor's Horse Guard used to use that. And we played football and baseball on the little park at the intersection of Prado and Inman Circle, and hiked and cooked out in Collier Woods, which is now Sherwood Forest. I remember the unpaved streets in the park, and when the pavement came to the Prado, how we enjoyed our bicycles and skates on it, because there was so little traffic then as compared to now. I remember 2 cars, people I knew, started at the top of the hill by the Governor's Mansion and raced down Prado around the curve all the way to Peachtree Circle. I don't see how they made it, but just didn't have much traffic in those days. My father walked to the car line at Road Center to go to town, and walked back in the evening, even after a Model T Ford was purchased. If my mother was taking one of the children somewhere, she pushed the baby carriage up to Road Center, put the carriage in the bushes where the British Petroleum Station is now, and got on the streetcar. We grew a little. As we grew a little, we were able to have a governess to help with the homework and the house, and we had 2 servants who worked every day of the week except Thursday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. They had 3 meals a day. The doctor's bills were paid, and they became part of the family, especially at Christmas. My father later helped the husband of the cook buy a funeral home. The boys at 10th Street was our shopping center, and groceries were ordered every day and delivered. If my parents were entertaining, the cook would give the store a signal and a pint of whiskey would be put in with the groceries. The boys attended Spring Street Grammar School, which we walked to or rode bicycles, as there were no buses in those days, and the girls attended Washington Seminary. Walking, we took shortcuts through people's yards and even the drugstore at Pershing Point. My mother made many changes in the house, which my father always objected to, but enjoyed when they were done. Extensive landscaping was done about 1926, and a driveway was put in, and a garage for 2 cars was built. After O'Keefe and the seminary, we were able to go to private schools. The Depression was on, so we could get in, and my father had passes on the railroad. There were about 6 trees in the front yard, mostly hickory trees. All but one are now gone. The property is occupied by Harry and Alston Pritchard and his wife of All Saints Church, and I've been privileged to see how well they're taking care of it. There's one more. After World War II, there were still many vacant lots in the park. I think that they've all been built on now. Also, there were many boarding houses and rooming houses, and the Civic Association worked hard in the 60s to get rid of them. The only defeat, I think, is the Ansley Inn on 15th Street by a very close Supreme Court decision. But at least the present owners have a quiet operation compared to the former roomers. Well, of course, there every Christmas, they probably came from Mr. McClatchy. They had the Christmas sleigh, Santa Claus and the reindeer, all lighted up, and the cars would come from all over the city past there to see that at Christmas time. Of course, Talmadge lived there until they got the governorship settled after 1947, I think, and he had to move out. I'm trying to think which was the last governor there. It may have been Carl Sanders. I think he was the last governor there, and Maddox was out on Pace's Ferry.